Hey everybody, Yang Gang and others. When I shot the video with Colin yesterday, we were at a couple, just two, actually. 2 subscribers short of 1,000. I just checked before I started this walk. I'm at 1,017. 19 subscribers in one day, that's a new record for me. And I attribute that to people are getting excited about Andrew Yang. And still, I think most people, either they haven't heard of him, or if they have, they're still at the, isn't he that Asian guy who wants to give everybody $1,000 stage? And he mentioned that in a speech that I encountered on Twitter today. He's talking to the Democratic National Convention, the DNC. And he gave about a 10-minute speech, which I think is a really great, like, self-contained introduction to the ideas of Andrew Yang, and most importantly, I think, to the material circumstances of our current moment with regard to technology and business and employment. And in that, he asked the following question.
We're going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history, what experts are calling the Fourth Industrial Revolution. When's the last time you heard a politician say the words Fourth Industrial Revolution? Just now. And I am barely a politician.
Well, when is the last time you heard a politician say the Fourth Industrial Revolution? Probably never. But if asked to give a definition of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, what would you say? It's good to be conversant, I think, in this lingo. So the first Industrial Revolution, before, in pre-industrial times, work was done by muscles, either animal muscles or human muscles. And somebody at some point figured out that you can use the power of running water to turn a wheel, and that you can draw power from that turning wheel and harness it to do industrial tasks. Early on, the major application was textiles, spinning wool, weaving. So that first Industrial Revolution really is harnessing the power of water and also of steam. You heat water, the steam rises. Steam in a contained space creates pressure. You can use that pressure to do work. Well, the second Industrial Revolution came with not just the discovery, but the implementation of electricity. Basically taking the techniques of using water and steam to generate power to do work, and using electricity to do that same thing. Electricity is a lot more versatile. The third Industrial Revolution is when we added information technology to that process. And the fourth Industrial Revolution is in some ways just an extension of the third, but quality or quantity is a quality all its own. When you take information technology and you make it super cheap, super abundant, super ubiquitous, and you infuse it into everything, well, it's going to have far-ranging effects on our lives, how we connect with one another, and how we make a living. And if you're a business owner, how you conduct your business. And as it relates to most of us, that the important part is, how many employees do you need? What do you need them to do? What position, what bargaining power do they have in their negotiations with you? Information technology, in a lot of ways, particularly as it becomes, it's still narrow, it's still stupid AI. We're not anywhere close to general intelligence. But as it becomes more versatile, and as it becomes cheaper to employ, humans bring less and less to the equation in terms of what they can offer an employer. And so their bargaining power is lessened, and the amount of money and the benefits and basically the attractiveness of the situation that the employer has to create to get people to come on board, those pressures are lessened. And this is going to have, it's already having a huge impact, but we're still in the very, very early stages of this transition from the third to the fourth Industrial Revolution. And no politician that I know of is talking about that. I spent over an hour yesterday reading the Green New Deal portion of Bernie Sanders' campaign website. It is a long document. I didn't even get to the end of it. And it's very comprehensive. He talks about a whole lot of different things. The only time that he mentioned changes in technology or advances in technology is when it related to the topic of getting off of fossil fuels and using smart metering to save power. And also there was some mention of improvements in material science, particularly as it relates to battery and electricity storage. Because one of the big problems with so-called renewable energy wind and, well, mostly just wind and sun right now, you know, wind and photovoltaic, is that the sun doesn't shine all the time and the wind doesn't blow all the time, but you need power all the time. So what do you do when your renewable energy sources aren't actually providing you with anything? Well, you better have some stored power. And right now, you know, battery technology is still pretty clunky. It is still fairly inefficient, although it's getting better. And so, you know, to say that the goal of getting off of all fossil fuels by some arbitrary date, say 2030 or 2050, you know, if you're going to insist that it's possible, then you're going to have a motivation to look at least battery technology. And battery technology is a subset of material science. And, you know, there's all kinds of things related to material science that, you know, we've been awaiting certain breakthroughs, and when they come, they are going to change a lot. You know, like room temperature superconductors, which is to say, you know, materials that can conduct electricity without resistance so that you're not losing. But smart metering is going to help with that. But what I'm saying is, I'm getting off track, lost in the weeds. What I'm saying is that most candidates think of the economic landscape and the political landscape as if it's a static field, technologically speaking, and it simply is not. Advancing technology affects our lives more than almost anything you can imagine. And the extreme imbalance right now between those with money and those without, which basically comes down to, you know, an extreme disparity in the returns on capital versus the returns on selling the hours of your life, you know, in the form of labor. Because the people who make money from money, you know, who make money because they already have money, or they make money because they have access to certain resources, or they have exclusive sweetheart deals where, you know, they get to be the exclusive supplier of something. People in those privileged positions are doing extremely well right now. For them, it is so easy to imagine that we are moving into a utopia because they generalize their own experience, you know, and they project it out into the future. But, you know, our experience is not their experience. And for a lot of people I know, it's a lot easier to imagine, you know, doomsday or a collapse of industrial civilization, or just the, you know, the general decay of civilization. It's easier to embrace that than it is to think about all of the implications of changing technology, because technology changes things in ways that we don't expect, ways that we wouldn't imagine. And so, you know, not only am I encouraged that we have a presidential candidate who's doing well, who's gaining in popularity, who is very well spoken and has a great personality and just seemingly is tireless. I'm not only encouraged that we have such a person now, but it raises the bar for all the other candidates. None of the other candidates are saying anything that is remotely impressive to me in terms of their ability to incorporate changing technology into their worldview and into their plans for this nation. And until they do, I'm not even going to give them the time of day. I mean, yeah, sure, I'll read policy proposals and such on their websites, but in terms of, you know, sending them money or even considering voting for them in the primary, nobody holds a candle to Andrew Yang right now, you know, either a wax candle or an LED or whatever. He stands alone. All right, I'm going to stop here. Talk to you again tomorrow. Hey, by the way, thanks to everybody who subscribed, and, well, just thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.